Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, Ron, here at AbleSys. Welcome to the webinar. We've certainly been having some really big moves in the market. We've got a big after-hour move. We had the big technology stocks all reporting earnings today, and everything went really well. So the markets, the Nasdaq futures, flying high again, as they usually are. They have a big, looks like it's going to be a big up day, but who knows? It's a long way till tomorrow. Anyhow, let's take a look. We're going to look at swing trading. We'll look at day trading. We'll look at a couple different things. I like the 130-minute, which is a little more than 2-hour daily combination for swing trading. Each one of these black lines is the start of the day. So you get 3 price bars per day. So like this would be today, this would be yesterday, in between 2 lines, 3 bars per day. We always combine 2 charts into one because that's what works so well, and that's what, why everybody likes so much, because of the no trade zones. Keeps us out of so much trouble. It's really just been great. Really been great. But you got to have, you got. I mean, for somebody who's very serious and we're very disciplined, wow, it's been great. So you can see here, this is Wix, and I was showing this actually with a client yesterday, an AbleTrend client. And yesterday we had a triple confirmation buy signal. That's what we're looking for. I just put arrows, by the way, instead of X's. I just think it kind of looks pretty cool because it just gives you some direction there. But those are those really strong support points, meaning they're buying. What support means, maybe I should define it. What support means is the prices are going to kind of have a hard time going any lower than that point. There's going to be some buying coming in at that point. So that's why you can see how the price came down and just stopped right at the arrows here, which is the daily signal. This is the daily support. And the daily, as you can see, has been on a buy signal for months. So obviously we're not going to go short. We're only looking for buy signals. We want to look at that higher time frame first. That's what's most important. Look at the higher time frame. In this case, these are my arrows. This is the daily chart. And then you want to get in when you get the first blue bar that comes in at that time. Example right there. There's your triple confirmation. You've got a buy signal on both time frames, both algorithms. Everything is saying, buy it. And, I mean, it just went up big time. Now, technically, it would be stopped out here because that would be the second or previous lower small blue dot below the price, and then you get right back in the next day because there's your what we call a sweet spot. The sweet spot is when the prices come back to the blue dots. You get a blue bar, you've got a blue dot, you've got a blue arrow, you've got the daily signal, which is the arrow and has been that way for months. We've got the daily buy signal. We've got the daily 130-minute signal. That's the small little blue dot below. And we've got the blue bar. It's triple confirmation. They're all in agreement. It's perfect. It's exactly what we look for. So anybody had the software a few weeks back, and is very disciplined and just takes the trades by the software signals, not by their feelings or their emotions, because you just can't win that way. Believe me, there's no way that I could or anybody could. No chance. You got to trade by the signals. I mean, my feelings or emotions or anybody else's just can't even come close to comparing to our AbleTrend algorithm that's been consistent for 20 years. It's not even close. So you want to buy it right there, the close of that price bar or the open of the next one. In at 241, we're out at 279. I mean, this is just a sweet chart option. And it's the same colors and dots, and it's the same rules. Doesn't matter what you trade. AbleTrend works the same for everything. Everybody around the world uses it for something different. You could trade stocks, you could do futures, you can do day trading, swing trading, position trading, currencies. Doesn't matter. It's whatever you like to trade. And we've got a new buy signal that just came in yesterday, and it's already up, a couple bucks today. So, doing real well, up about $5. So great start. Buying a call option yesterday morning after the first blue bar came in. This would be about, technically, it's exactly at 11:40 Eastern time. So, if you're Central Time, 1 hour earlier, Mountain is 2 hours earlier, and Pacific is 3 hours earlier than that. So good start here, real good start. Started out this morning, was actually down a little bit, but the NASDAQ all day long just kept going higher and higher and higher. So that leads me into the next chart, which is our intraday NASDAQ chart, our favorite day trading chart, the E-mini NASDAQ. And this is why I've been stressing in the last few weeks, this 15-minute chart. It's just an absolutely beautiful chart to give us the bigger picture. Now, the 15 minutes on a buy signal doesn't mean we only take buy signals on a 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute chart. Because 15-minute charts 15 times slower than a 1 minute chart. However, it just tells us that the buy signals, because the 15-minute exactly at the open, I'm Eastern, so right at the 30 open was buy signal. That's unbelievable. It's just very, very important information to know. So right on a buy signal, right at the open on the NASDAQ, and the future were down. So right there. Using an arrow there. Nah, I don't think I like the arrow. I think I'll go back to my usual circles. This is a straight 15-minute chart. That's all it is. Nothing fancy, no guidance, just a straight 15-minute chart. Always AbleTrend TS indicator only. Beautiful chart. Look at that. Every time it hits support, it just bounced off of it and went higher. It's live. That's why it's blinking and moving right now. It opens back up again 2 hours after the market closes. It opens back up again. So 6:08 here Eastern. So that's why it's moving slightly a little bit. But the point is, when you see the 15-minute and such a strong buy signal, it just means the buy signals on the 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, they're going to last longer. They're going to be stronger. They're going to be more profitable. They're going to be the ones you certainly don't want to miss. That's what that means. That's all. So we started out a little rocky this morning. We started out with like 3 losing trades, I believe, because we've got triple confirmation buy signal there now. If you missed the beginning of it, get in at the dots. The dots have been great. They've been great for scalping. You want to get in right at support, right at the support dot. Now, if you can get it where you can go and red or blue, if you can get it, I'm going to show this. I'm going to guess about 2 weeks we'll have our new scalping system available. It's just so much work that goes into it, you have no idea. But I'm hoping for 2 weeks, maybe sooner. But I'm hoping for 2 weeks. I don't want to promise anybody. So if you can get it where you're showing it at the 3-minute resistance point, which is, the big red arrow, that's an even more powerful place to scalp for, say 5 or 10 points, just a scalp. So if you just like to scalp the dots, that's fine. Regardless of the colors, as soon as the price hits that, as long as it doesn't go under it, you want to see it. You want to see the dot hold support. Hold the dot. You don't see the price right there. Boy, that's just a fantastic place to scalp. And you exit where you want to exit. Scalp is just, you're just looking for, a couple points. In a couple of these cases, it actually wound up being like 10 or 20 points. But that's my point, is to, the bounces off of the 3-minute support and resistance points have just been absolutely money in the bank. Not 100%. Nothing is. I can guarantee you they'll be losing trades. But that's a heck of they've been heck of a place to scalp. So there would be a short signal there. And because the dot is like 30 points away, obviously we're going to use that as a result. We're going to just use 2 points above the red bar, which was stopped out right there. There's a perfect sweet spot, and there's our 2 green bar exit, or the second higher row of red dots. Turned out to be the same thing. So we got 10 points back from the 2 losing trades earlier. Obviously, one big gigantic no trade there, and almost every day we get one big huge trend with AbleTrend indicator. Sometimes 2, which is, and you got to catch those, because the rest of the day, just because of the price action, we have no control over that. Nobody does, because the price action is generally sideways, part of the day and copy. But there's always 1 or 2 good trends that AbleTrend is able to identify and become profitable on. The key is to catch the big trends. Because if you catch the big trends, I don't care how many small losing trades you have or how many losing trades you have, you'll come out at the very least, you'll come out break even, if not a winner. And we had just absolutely gorgeous, perfect, triple confirmation trade. Everything was in agreement. The 1-minute was on a buy signal, the 2-minute buy signal, the 3-minute buy signal, the 15-minute buy signal. It was just a beauty. Even the 3-minute, 9-minute chart was on a buy signal at that same time. Actually, there was even like a tad earlier. So, I mean, every single was on a buy. It just doesn't get any lower risk than that. I mean, if you don't take that trade, then you just never take, you'll never take anything. I mean, I don't know what more anybody could ask for. It's just beautiful, just perfect. Yeah, one thing that I also like to do, and just personal preference, I like vanilla better than chocolate. Other people like chocolate better. No right or wrong. It's just what you like. I like to look for e-meetings at the same time. Do that often. And it doesn't have to all agree before I trade, because if that's the case, you'll miss out on a lot of great trades. All I'm saying is I just personally happen to like to look for at the same time, because when they, and it's rare, but when they all 4 agree, oh my, load up the boat, because it's going to be a good. So just thought I'd throw it out there because everybody asks my opinion on things, and it's what I like to do, and that's just what it is. So we've got a triple confirmation buy signal there, and I mean, just every time it hit the blue dots, it's been for all year, it would just bounce right off of it. So when you got, like I mentioned last week, when you've got every single chart, every single time frame, 1, 2, 3, 9, and 15-minute charts, all in a just exact agreement, which is where to do, just stay in the trades. The 2-group exit is perfectly fine to use, and if you use that, don't even hesitate. Don't even think about hesitating to get back in on the sweet spots. And the first sweet spot is always the best. Now, when you've got all the time frames in agreement, you know what? If that's the time to take a chance on the second sweet spot, which would be right here, and that one is a home run. So, as I mentioned last week, if you've got every single time frame and everything lined up perfect, give your stop a little more room. Use the second lower row of dots, because you know what? That could be the big one of the day. And there's usually one, sometimes two, but there's usually one a day. Nobody knows when it's going to come in. Where we that home run right there. So we're going to exit then red bar, red dot, and that was just a thing. That was a 70-point winner. That's $1,400 per one lot. Can't trade less than one. Well, yeah, you can trade micros, but I'm just keeping it. Most people are going to trade normal lots. That's $1,400 per contract or per lot. That's a lot of money right there in just 1 hour using AbleTrend. Another buy signal comes in right a minutes later, and it's a break even. And then we actually had a couple of losing trades. So I want to make sure you see those, because it's certainly not perfect. There's a winning trade right there during the dead zone, but dead zone's options. So for those who did trade, caught a winner there, and then we caught a loser right there. That's a triple combination sell signal. And we turned around and gave back what we made on the trade before. Obviously, a big no trades on there. It's a triple combination sell signal where we got stopped out. Now, keep in mind the big news that was coming. Yesterday was the big Fed announcement at 2 Eastern. So you got to be very aware of that. You don't want to be in the market at that time. And I can almost say for sure, 9 out of 10 times, and an hour or two before that happens, the market's going to be very sideways choppy. So you don't want to be in the market, an hour before the Fed announcement, because the market's going to go crazy at that time. Again, that's about 8 times a year, 2 o'clock Eastern. Just do a little homework and Google it. Today, of course, the big news was just about all the biggest companies were going to have earnings at 4 o'clock New York close. So at the close, wherever you are, there was, Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, all the biggest companies in the world were all going to have earnings then. So that, kind of keeps the market, a little choppy, a little sideways going into the close, because of the big, that was, huge news. I mean, I looked at CNBC.com all day long, and I mean, it was just, go to Yahoo Finance, I mean, every website in the world was telling you that was going to be news. So, going into that, just keep in mind, you're going to get choppiness usually before then, because people are a little nervous. They don't know which way it's going to go. I mean, most of the time it's usually, good news and the market shoots higher. So definitely you would think it's going to go higher. Plus the 15-minute and all the time frames were higher. However, the market is not sure. I mean, you got, traders trading millions of dollars, and they're going to be a little cautious. So, the market's going to be a little choppy going into the, close today for that obvious reason. You just keep in mind a couple of little, real important stuff. That's all, the real important stuff. And then, as you could see right here, a couple of minutes, after the 4 o'clock close, the New York close, or wherever you are, 1 o'clock close, Pacific, it just took off like a rocket ship, because everybody came up with good news. Amazon, Facebook, Apple, all the big boys up with great news as they usually do. All at the same time, a couple of days after the market closed, and it's up like 150 points right after that. The Nasdaq right now, going in. Well, actually, it's up 200 points at the moment. Anything can happen overnight. The market, stays open 24 hours. But as it looks right now, we're going to have a huge opening tomorrow. Who knows? Anything can happen. But that's the if anybody's trading the open, and I don't recommend this, but some people like to trade earnings. Well, can you get a better AbleTrend buy signal today, right there, as soon as the earnings started to come out? That's very risky to do that. That's why I say to be very cautious to do that. It wouldn't be something I would like to do, but some people low risk. A lot of people are more high risk, and take a chance. And you know what? If you hit a home run, because the AbleTrend signal was just dead on perfect. 5 minutes after the stock market closed, and the earnings came out, software said, "Hey, this is going higher." Every single time that it was going higher, and it's now 200 points. This is live, so that's why it's moving. And we just got out of it just a few minutes ago while I was talking. We would have exited the trade because obviously our red dot after 180 points off. So that was kind of nuts. But that's just a sidebar because it's not something that I would suggest because of the the risk involved. What happens if earnings came out bad? I mean, who knows? David says, if the 1, 2, 3, and 9 are all showing buy signals, but the 15 has red dots above, does that preclude getting in on a long? Absolutely not, David. You would get in on the long. As mentioned, we go on the 1, 2, 3 chart. The 15 is just an added extra. If it's also in that direction, then you don't want to miss any of the buy signals on the 1, 2, 3. The only time that I would be hesitant if the red dots on the 15-minute, as you're asking, was right above the price. In other words, the price was at 10,000 and the red dots on the 15 minutes was 10,002. A couple of points above it, that's a different story. Perfectly fine to hold off at that point until it went above the red dots or the red X's on the 15-minute chart. But if it's 5, 15, 20 points away, what's wrong with making that? That's a few $100s. Nothing wrong with that. Good question. Tom, was the red bar dot at about 12:10 an exit? Let's go back to that, but I'm sure by now, Tom, you should tell me by now what's an exit. Everybody should know by now. Yes, of course, that's an exit. Anytime a red bar, anytime anything, a red bar on a 1-minute red bar comes in, meaning it's a 1-minute trend change to the downside, and you're in a long position, and especially you're up $1,400, and you hit that sell button real fast. Yes, sir. Abroad says, can you please explain the 2 green candle rule? I've gone over that like hundreds and hundreds of times. Abroad, I would just suggest to go back and watch the webinars because that's how you communicate with everybody. We've got like over 20,000 clients. Again, I'll go through it real quick. If you're more than 10 points in profit on a Nasdaq, which would equal 2 points in profit if you're trading the E-mini S&P, you have to have more than that in profit. And you see 2 green bars come in, you want to put your stop loss 2 points below, like looking at the chart right here. If this were the case, you would put and 2 greens come in. Green means sideways. You of course know that. Blue means you're still going to go higher. You never exit on a blue bar or a red bar. If you're long, you never exit on a blue bar. If you're short, you never exit on a red bar. That's pretty obvious by now, I would hope. that's obvious. If the bars start to go green and you get 2 in a row and you're in a big profit only, not a small profit, you got to be in a really nice profit. Then we're going to move the stop loss from the dots underneath. We're going to move it much closer to the price so that we protect that big profit. We don't want to have a large give back. After we're up a bunch of money, it's not a really good feeling. I hate when you up a bunch of money and give it all back. So what we do is when we see 2 green bars, we move the stop loss closer to the price, 2 points under the lower of the 2 green bars. For the S&P Mini, 1 point for the S&P Nasdaq, 1 point below the lower of the 2 green bars. If you trade the S, 1 point below if you trade the Russell or TY, which is another one of my favorites. So that's the details of it. I hope that helps. You're welcome. Steve says, how many times would you take a sweet spot trade in a trend? As I mentioned, if you've got all the time frames in it, always the first, and you say, well, do I take the second or the third? Just a little trade savvy comes into play there, and how I judge that. Look at the higher time, look at the 3-9, look at the 15-minute. If they're all in agreement, take the second sweet spot. If all the charts are screaming at us in a screaming buy signal, then you can, then that opens up for the second sweet spot. Just, kind of some trading common sense. That's all you need. I'm not doing anything different than anybody else. Bill asks, can you move the 3-9 chart to the current time? Yeah, sure. Picked up that huge big trend. In fact, the 3-9 chart got us in an hour and a half before the close, and would have kept it the whole time if you don't mind a lot of risk, because it's chancy you don't know which way the earnings will go. Yes, most always go up, but maybe this time they don't. I mean, it's easy to say after the fact, when you already know the result. You're welcome, Bill. And Abrar, you're welcome. Steve, would you be more leery of a sweet spot if you're in a trend that has lasted an hour? Again, just some trading common sense. Maybe, don't have a definite yes or no on that. Yeah, I mean, I would be a little more leery. Yes, I'd put a little more weight to the leery side. But I'm a big fan of looking at the, the 3-minute, 3-9, and the 15-minute. As everybody knows by now, I've said 1,000 times, maybe 100 times. Over the past few months, I love the 15-minute chart. It's so often the prices go right to those 15-minute dots and just stop like you were running speed into a brick wall. It's just so helpful to me. So good questions, good stuff. Boy, some really, really great trading going on with the signals. Just really, really good. Stay disciplined. More important than anything else. More important than trading or anything. Stay safe.